There's something happening in the skies over Iran right now that, honestly, it shouldn't be possible according to pretty much all modern military thinking. We're seeing aircraft that are considered, obsolete, non-stealthy, and they're not just surviving. They are dominating a country that was supposed to have these really powerful layered air defenses. So what on earth is actually going on? And that brings up the big question, right? How are planes like the A-10 Warthog and the AH-64 Apache, aircraft that are famous for flying low and slow, how are they just operating freely inside what should be heavily defended enemy territory? The answer? Well, it tells a pretty stunning story of total air dominance. I mean, this quote from the US Secretary of War just sets the stage perfectly. It's more than just a comment, it's a declaration. The very fact that you're seeing these specific planes in action over Iran, it sends a crystal clear signal. Iran's ability to control its own skies has completely and fundamentally collapsed. So, how did that shield get broken? Well, the most obvious piece of the puzzle lies in a couple of recent, and I mean absolutely devastating military operations. The public explanation, the one you're going to hear about, it all points to two key operations: Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. Think of these as the 1-2 knockout punch that just shattered Iran's defenses and paved the way for planes like the A-10 to go to work. The numbers here are just staggering. The Chief of Staff for the Israel Defense Forces claimed that a full 80% of Iran's air defense systems were either destroyed or disabled within the first 24 hours. Just think about that for a second. 4/5 of their entire defensive network just gone in a single day. But here's the thing. Those recent operations, they aren't the whole story. Not even close. The truth is, Iran's defenses weren't just broken in a day. They were already critically weak. This was really a pre-existing condition that made the final collapse pretty much inevitable. So this timeline really lays out the whole path to collapse. It all started way back in June with an operation called Midnight Hammer. By December, you had major outlets like Forbes already reporting on critical gaps. And get this, by the time Epic Fury even kicked off, some sources suggest Iran was down to only about 100 launchers. Their defensive network was already just a shadow of what it used to be. And hey, this wasn't just an assessment from the outside looking in. This incredibly blunt quote comes from Iran's own former president, Hassan Rouhani. He confirms just how vulnerable they were. He knew they had lost any real ability to stop an attack long before this latest campaign even got started. Okay, so knowing the defenses were already weak, how did the US go about systematically taking down what was left? Well, they used this incredibly sophisticated, multi-layered strategy. You can think of it as a takedown playbook, designed specifically to create safe corridors for their planes. It's this brilliant three-step process. First, you disrupt. Now, this isn't about bombs and missiles. It's about making the enemy blind and deaf. Cyber attacks, electronic warfare, you jam their radars, you scramble their communications, you create total confusion so their entire network can't even see what's coming. Second, you penetrate. So into these new digital blind spots, you send in your stealth aircraft, the F-35s, the B-2s. They just slip in completely undetected to take out the brains of the operation, the command centers, the most dangerous air defense sites. And only then, only when the path is totally clear, does step 3 happen: destroy. That's when the heavy hitters, the A-10s and the Apaches, move into these brand new safe corridors to just systematically hunt and eliminate anything that's left. It's a complete dismantling of their entire defense network from the inside out. And this brings us to the stars of this particular show. You've got the A-10 Warthog, which is just this heavily armored, all-around destruction machine. It's perfect for smashing things like boats and fortified ground targets. Then you've got the Apache, a totally different beast. It's a specialized attack helicopter, super agile, perfect for tracking those same boats and escorting friendly ships. They're working together in tandem with devastating effect. The A-10's versatility is really what makes it so incredibly lethal here. Yeah, it has that iconic GAU-8 cannon that is just terrifying up close, but its real strength is its ability to adapt. It can fire AGM-65 Maverick missiles, perfect for taking out moving targets like tanks or small attack boats from way out. For stationary targets like missile bunkers, it uses laser and GPS-guided bombs for pinpoint accuracy. And hey, just in case, it carries AM-line sidewinders for self-defense against any unexpected jets. It's basically a flying, customizable toolbox of destruction, perfectly suited to hunt down whatever's left after the skies are clear.
This whole campaign has achieved something far beyond just temporary control of the skies. And to really get it, it's super important to understand the difference between what we call air superiority and a much, much higher level of control, air supremacy. So here's the key difference. Air supremacy isn't just about winning the fight in the air. It's when the other side is so beaten down that they can't even interfere effectively anymore. It's total control of the airspace. Game over.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. When a former commander of U.S. Central Command, we're talking CENTCOM here, and a former CIA director like David Petraeus says the U.S. has achieved air supremacy, that carries some serious weight. He's basically saying the fight for the skies is already over.
And he's not alone. Another former CENTCOM commander, General Frank McKenzie, he agrees, but listen to what he adds here. He says that achieving air supremacy wasn't the end goal itself. No, it was the key that unlocked the next phase of the mission, which is now hunting for Iran's ballistic missile sites. This chart, wow, it really gives you a snapshot of the sheer devastation we're talking about. It's not just the 80% of air defenses, it's 92% of large naval vessels taken out, a 90% drop in missile launches. This is a systematic dismantling of an entire military's ability to fight back. And the long-term implication, well, it's a massive shift in the balance of power in the entire region. This isn't just a military victory, it's a huge geopolitical statement. So with Iran's military so thoroughly beaten down, what's the next move? Well, the focus of this entire operation is now shifting to one very critical, very strategic point on the map. And that choke point is the Strait of Hormuz. The very same A-10s and Apaches that helped clear the skies are now leading the charge to break Iran's blockade of this vital global waterway. They're targeting the fast attack boats and the missile sites that threaten all that international shipping. So this all leaves us with one critical question. A deadline has been set, April 6th. The A-10s and Apaches are applying enormous pressure. So will Iran back down and reopen the strait? Or is this relentless air campaign about to escalate into something even bigger? Right now, the entire world is watching to see what happens next.